Hello. Today we are introducing matrices. So our learning goals for today are to understand the following concepts. First one, what is a matrix? So next one, the order of matrix. Sometimes we call dimension and the size of matrix. And thirdly, we talk about elements of matrices. Finally, we discuss spatial matrices. Okay, let's start with the first one. So what is a matrix? A definition. So let's write down this concept. A matrix is a rectangular array. What is array? Array means a group of things of rows and the columns. So rows, columns to that. So those array of those rows, columns store what? To store or display information, such as what type of information? Numbers or variables. So that's a definition. So again, we need some examples. So what I mean by a rectangular array? So let's have a look in the past. When we store the information into rows, columns, what is the type of format we use? Normally, we use tables. For example, if I store the students' results in particular classroom, so for example, I have a general math class, I store information to table format. So I call first row is student A, student B, student C. We store two results. For example, we call a math result for the first column, the English result for the second column. So we draw a table. Then we put in results into the space here. The first row, first column, we put student A math result for student A. So we say, let's say 85. The English result for student A is 75. Student B math is 90, English 80, and student C achieve math 65, English 70. So you can see the way we display the information in the old format, we use a table. But now we introduce a different way to display this information. We use a rectangular array of rows. So we put a row, same way, we put a row 1, 85. So in those numbers put into row 1. So we call row 1. So that's a row 1. And row 2, I'll put a 90 against student B result. And the same as the last row will be student C's result. So in this case, instead of using table, I'm using a square brackets and put the numbers inside the brackets. So this is called matrix. So you can see if I marked row 1 is A, student A, row 2 is student B result, and C. And the column 1, so this is the column. So this is called column 1, column 2. So we got 3 rows. So this will be math result and English result. So this is a matrix. Another example, we can use a matrix. So for example, matrix can be something like a smaller, 2 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's another very typical, like a very simple matrix. We got 4 numbers. I install into a square bracket into 2 rows and 2 columns. Another example, we have only 1 row. For example, 1, 2, 3. I'll put a 1, 2, 3. So we got 1 row only, but 3 columns. So we got column 1, column 2, column 3, but only 1 row. I can turn something like that. So so sometimes I don't have to use a number. We can use variables, A, B, C. But this one, only 1 column, but we got 3 rows, 1, 2, and 3. So these are all those examples. You can see the matrix consists of square brackets and information inside the square bracket. But it has to be lined up in rows and columns. So this one has to be lined up here. Sorry, I'll just put a. So when you write a row matrix, make sure you line up rows and columns. All right, so these are the first definition. So matrix basically is a rectangular array of rows and numbers. Inside, you put the information such as numbers and letters. Now we talk about order. So what is the order? Order is also means dimension or size of matrix. So you can see the matrix we display here, they are all in different size. So you can see here, you got 3 rows, 2 columns, this example. And this example here, so if I highlight that example, so this example here, you got 2 rows, 2 columns. This example, 1 row, 3 columns, but this example here, 3 rows, 1 column. So they're all different. So how do we describe order? So order is very simple to understand. Order is the dimension of the matrix or size. So order is the number of rows and the number of columns of the matrix. So that's the order. So it means how many numbers. So let me type it up, definition. So what is the order? Number of rows and columns are called the order, or sometimes size or dimension, a matrix. So the number of rows. So let's have a look at example. See what's this order. So let's have a look. We have a matrix. We'll draw a new one. So I'm going to draw a new matrix, give a little bit of different size. So let's say we have a matrix A. So we have a 1, -4, 6, 2, 5, -2. So this is a so let's count how many rows. So we see number of rows is 2. So we put a 2 in the front. So this size of the matrix is 2 by number of column is 3. So column 1, column 2, column 3, 1 row, so 2 rows. So this is called 2 by 3 matrix. So like a dimension, we call like a rectangle, you have a dimension, length times by width. But a matrix we call rows, number of rows times by number of columns. So the row must be in the front. So what about if I draw another matrix, put A, B, C, D, E, F. Now this time we have a more than 2 rows because we count 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 rows and 2 columns. So this one 3 by 2 matrix. So you can see 2 by 3 are very different to 3 by 2 because you can see they are totally different matrix because their dimension is different. One is a horizontal like a landscape, a rectangle, but this one's like a portrait. The shape is different. So the dimension or size or even called order is representing what shape it look like. You know, how many rows, how many numbers. So we'll look at another example. So what about this matrix? Sometimes we only got one, let's say 1, 2, 3. So very simple, 1, 2, 3. So this matrix, it's only got 1 row, but it's got 3 columns. So we call 1 by 3 matrix. Also, sometimes we call row matrix. So we call row because they only got 1 row. So we call row matrix. So if I go to next one, so we say, okay, let's move down. So let's draw a couple of more different type of matrix. So what about this one? So if I call matrix D, and we have -1, -1, 0, and 2. This matrix, it's got 4 rows because you got 1 row, second row, so row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. So 4 rows, but only 1 column, so 4 by 1. So this is a 4 by 1, which is we call column. So this is called column matrix. So row matrix, column matrix, only 1 row or 1 column. Have a look at another matrix example we call E matrix E. So we call 1, 0, 0, -1. So this matrix, it's got 2 rows and 2 columns. So the row number and the same as column number. So if I have both row number and the same, the column number with the same number, so we call 2 by 2 matrix. So 2 by 2 matrix is also sometimes we call square because it's like a square because length and width the same, like a dimension is like a 2 by 2. So we call square matrix. Give you another example of square matrix. For example, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, negative G, H, and negative I. So that's a 3 by 3 matrix. 3 rows, 3 columns. That's also square matrix. So square matrix is got same dimension, same row number and the column number. Non-square matrix, for example, this one, non-square, 2 by 3, 3 by 2, 1 by 3, and 4 by 1, they are square matrix. So dimension or order, sometimes called order or sometimes called size, determine how big are the matrix. So 3 by 3 obviously bigger than 2 by 2. And also determine whether it's a square matrix or whether it's a non-square matrix, whether it's a row matrix or whether it's column matrix. All right, now we talk about the elements. So what is the elements? So elements is the entries. So which is the information, the entries, sometimes we call the information inside matrix, a matrix is called elements. So for example, the entries, so sometimes information is the entries, isn't it? Well, let's give an example. We have a matrix. Let's say we have A, we give it a square matrix. So we have a square matrix called 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are 2 by 2. So dimensions 2 by 2, but it's a square. So the elements or entries inside of this matrix is 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes we label the 1, 2, 3, 4 into, so 1. The first number is 1. 1 is the row situated or the position. So it's in row 1 and column 1. Can you see? Row, so first number is in the first row and the first column. So what we use for a label, we use a little capital A, then we change to little a. So little a is element of the capital A. So 1, we use a label called A first row, first column. So the element of the first row, first column is 1. So 2, we can write into the element, so little a, first row and second column. So I'll use the little number on the underneath, right hand corner. 3, we can call element of this using little a, second row, but first column. So 2 and 1. So in that order, row first, column number. So the last one, 4, we can use as second column, second row and second column. So each entries or element of the matrix can use a label called element label. Element label usually use a little letter. If I say capital A using the for matrix, this little lowercase letter and use 2 numbers on the corner. 1, 1 means first row, first column, the position. A1, 2 means first row and second column, that number, position is number 2. So I'll give you a few more different examples. Let's have a look. So let's draw more example. So I'm going to give you another matrix. So let's see. We put a B map, matrix B. We have 3 by 3. Let's say 3 by 3. So 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, -1, -3, 5, and 3. So these are 3 by 3, dimension 3 by 3, but let's mark the label the elements. So let's say what is A31? Not A, sorry, my apology, because we don't want to use A in this case. we want to use, because this is capital B, so I'll use the little b for the element. So little b 3 1 equal to what? So let's have a look at element 3, b 3 1. So 3 representing row number. So the third row and first column. So B31 will be -3. Let's mark another element. What about, I want to identify the B13. We turn around, so 1 3. So what's B13? B13 is the first row, third column. So row 1. So row 1 and column 3. So that means we need this number here. So which would be 0. Let's identify another one. So what about B22? B22 is second row, second column. So second row, second column, so will be number 2. What about B11? So B1 is the first row, first column, so B1. What about B23? B23 will be second row, third column. Second row, third column will be -1. What about the B31? Oh, we're done 3-1. So what about 3-2? 3-2. So B3. So third row, second column, which is 5. Next one. What about if we do B? What we haven't done it? B13. B. What about 3-2? We done 3-2. What about so next one we need to do let's say 3-3. What about B33? Third row, third column, which is 3. So let's see how many number we done. So altogether 9 numbers. We done 6 together. So what about, let's have a look the other 0. So what about, we're missing 2 numbers. So what about this 0? So this 0 will be B 2 and 1. So B21 is 0. The other one is B12. So first row, second column. So now we put all the 9 numbers into, label them into elements. So using a letter, then underneath we put a row number and column number as a position. So that's the how to identify the row number and their elements. All right, so we finished that. Next things we're going to talk about is spatial matrices. What is a spatial matrix? Spatial matrix is the first one we talk about identity. So what is identity? So for example, if I have a matrix called I, include like a 2 by 2, has to be 2 by 2. So we have a 1, 0, and 0, 1. So this matrix, it's got 2 by 2, 2 rows, 2 columns. But if you look at the diagonal, so you can see A11 is, so we don't call A11, it should be I, little I, is it? Sorry, my apology, just wipe it out. So if I identify the little I, the label for 1, 1 is 1. I1, 2, first row, second column is 0. And the next one, I2, 1 is 0. And I22 is 1. You see that diagonal here is 1, 1, but the other diagonal is 0, 0. So this type of matrix we call identity matrix. So 1, 1. So I'll give you one more example for, so this is a second I, so we call I2. So we have, for example, 1, 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. So can you see this also, this diagonal from left to right is 1, so that's another identity. And another one, if you put a 4 by 4, if I put a 4 by 4 identity, it will be 0 0, sorry, this will be 1, and 0 0 1 0, and the last one will be 0 0 1. So that's the identity. So anything with the identity is the diagonal from left to right is always 1, the other one's all 0. So the only the diagonal is 1, the other, any other numbers or zeros. So that's called identity. What about 0? 0 matrix means all the elements of the matrix are 0. For example, if I have Z equal to 0 0 0 0, that's 2 by 2, and all the elements are 0, so they call 0 matrix. Another one, Z1, so we call 3 by 3, same, 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. So that's also a 0 matrix. So identity 0 matrix are spatial matrix. Okay, that's it. Today we are introduce the definition of a matrix and also give you the some concept of order, dimension, and elements of the matrix. So can you start working on the exercise on the Google Classroom? So I'll give you the exercise numbers in Google Classroom, so you should be able to find it. Thank you for watching. Bye.